What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. We hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that whatever you had for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever snack you just had, I hope it was delicious. I hope it was the greatest thing you've ever eaten. It is the latest installment of our Blogging the Boys training camp preview series. We're doing each and every single position group on the Cowboys. We broke it down by position group because we think that's maybe the best way to look at the roster. You kind of go step by step, day by day. I don't remember the rest. But anyway, so we're going position by position on the Cowboys roster, discussing questions we have, concerns we might have, things that we're very confident in, and kind of forecasting what we can expect, not just from the group throughout training camp, but obviously into the regular season and hopefully into the playoffs. Now, I've mentioned this a few times throughout the last couple of videos here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed yet, please consider doing so. We've reached 20,000 subscribers this offseason. We're very excited for what the 2023 campaign has in store. But if you've been paying attention the last couple of videos, I've been telling you the dates that I've been recording these and putting these together. I'm traveling with my family to California. I'm going to take the little one to Disneyland. Very excited. But, because I'm hardworking, I want to make sure that we have stuff happening here on the channel because we have to get through the whole roster. That's the whole reason you do something like this, is to get through each and everything. So I'm not exactly certain when we have launched this video, but it's sometime the week that I'm out. Anyway, I am recording this on Wednesday, July the 5th, 2023. It's just past 5 p.m. Central Standard Time for me. So if something wild, ridiculous, unbelievable has happened with the Cowboys in the time since, we'll, of course, address it one way or another throughout the Blog on the Boys universe, but please understand what's going on here. Anyway, today we're getting into the defensive line. We are kickstarting our discussion about the Dallas Cowboys defense. Defense leads the way for the Cowboys. I'm 33 years old, and it really has been a shock to kind of see that be the case in my lifetime. And I imagine many of yours. The Cowboys have been an offensive-driven team, right? It's been, and particularly if you look at the, the drought that the team is in, so kind of the post-Super Bowl era that we've been living in here since 1996, since that season began. Obviously, things at the very beginning were pretty rocky, but once Tony Romo entered the fold in 2006, he never had great defenses. I mean, he had a solid defense in 2009, and obviously that was a team that made it to the divisional round of the playoffs that beat the Eagles in back-to-back weeks in Week 17 in the wild card round. But other than that, I mean, you think about the really successful Cowboys teams before Micah Parsons and Dan Quinn arrived, and think about 2014. I mean, that was just kind of a cast of pass rushers. Obviously, that was the first season the Cowboys did not have DeMarcus Ware as a part of their group, as they'd released him that offseason. 2018, when they traded for Amari Cooper, not really a defense you could rely on. They were defenses that were opportunistic and that had the ball kind of bounce their way. But things have really changed over the course of the Micah Parsons era to kind of, line things up just within him specifically. And now the Cowboys defensive line is really, I would say, maybe their greatest strength. And you can maybe you feel the Cowboys wide receivers, at least the top of it, is really strong with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Brandon Cooks now. Maybe you somehow still think the offensive line is a strength. I don't know. But for me, I think the strongest position group on the team is the defensive line. And you'll note that we have put everybody together here. We're going to do defensive line all together. Then the next video, we'll do just the linebackers. Then after that, we'll do corners and safeties. But because they are so kind of part of the same thing, we wanted to do everything all at once. And if you just read through the current roster, DeMarcus Lawrence, forever underrated. Mozzie Smith, first-round pick. Osa Odigizua, also underrated. Really a great player for the Cowboys, also a member of that Micah Parsons draft class. We have listed Micah Parsons as a defensive end and linebacker, and just so you know, we will include him in the linebacker discussion as well, although, he really is just kind of a full-time pass rusher at this point. Sam Williams was incredible last year, had as many sacks as Kayvon Thibodeau. People don't talk about that enough. Jonathan Hankins, who the Cowboys were able to bring back, that was a big win. Neville Gallimore, seems like he's kind of fallen out of favor with the team over the last couple of years, but still a nice rotational piece. Dorrance Armstrong, that contract aged really well for the Cowboys a year ago. Junior Fehoko, another draft pick, obviously this year. Quentin Bohanna, Chauncey Golston. Remember, they converted him from defensive end to defensive tackle. Dante Fowler, Ben Bonagu, Isaac Alarcon. Remember, he flipped from offensive line to defensive line this offseason. Tara Sweet, Darrell Johnson. The most important thing, I think, here is really encapsulated on that right column. If you look the right side of your screen, departures. That is not a long list. That is not a long list. This is a defensive line and a defensive group that was all about sacks last year. If you watched any of our content, if you listen to me on any podcasts or see any of my activity on social media, you know that a year ago I was screaming from the mountaintops. I was saying there's no way the Cowboys are going to have as many turnovers, as many takeaways rather in 2022 as they did in 2021. It's impossible. There's going to be regression to the mean. And you know what? I was wrong. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. And I really don't feel like I'm dumb or stupid. I was obviously wrong, but my logic was sound, right? Over 100 years of NFL football, generally speaking, when a team has a million takeaways like the Cowboys did in 2021, there is some sort of regression, but that didn't happen. And why did it not happen? Because of this group right here, the names you're looking at, because of the pressure, the sacks. The Cowboys had 1,000 sacks, obviously not, but they had 1,000,000 sacks in 2022. And a big reason for that was what the Cowboys have going on here. I don't know that I have ever felt as good about this defensive line group. And again, I'm including tackles and ends. Everybody is involved in this party here. I have never felt this good in my adult life as a Dallas Cowboys fan. This is one of the most loaded defensive line groups the Cowboys have had in a very, very long time. I think if you're really trying to measure, if you're really trying to find the answer when the Cowboys last had a group that could kind of challenge in this way, I think you'd find some combination of 05, 06, 07, maybe, when you had DeMarcus Ware obviously kind of hitting the peak of his powers. Anthony Spencer was kind of productive there for a little while, obviously. Jay Ratliff, Marcus Spears, like one of those eras, one of those pick the year you want from the 05 to 08 kind of run that group had. And I mean, that would probably be the answer. But if you're looking for the whole group top to bottom, I mean, for the most part here, we can find something about each and every one of these names that we're excited about, right? Like, I'm not saying that you want Dorrance Armstrong to be your full-time pass rusher opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence, but there's something to be excited about him as a member of the platoon, as a member of the party, as a member of everything that Dan Quinn has going on. And that's why the Micah Parsons, arrival, the fact that it coincided with Dan Quinn is so important, because Dan Quinn understands how to get the best out of this group, how to rotate everybody in the right way. He doesn't put everything, obviously a lot is on Micah Parsons' shoulders, but he doesn't put everything on him, which is why, not to mention what Dan Quinn does about how Micah Parsons impacts things, it's why we've seen DeMarcus Lawrence continue to be so successful. It's why Dorrance Armstrong had a great season last year, why Sam Williams had a great season last year. And I'm not taking away from anything that those players have done or did do or will do individually, but the pressure that Micah Parsons alone generates is such a rising tide that lifts all of these boats. I mean, we're talking about all these guys and all the pressure and all the impacts and everything like that. And we haven't even mentioned Mozzie Smith. That is really, if you had to come up with kind of a weakness, if you had to come up with an Achilles heel to what the Cowboys have done as far as their defensive line and how that's been concerned, it has been getting beat up the middle, right? They have not been able to stop the run in an overall sense. And, we sit here, we talk about like, oh, they got beat by Deebo Samuel or George Kittle had the amazing catch, blah, blah. The reason the Cowboys have lost in back-to-back playoffs against the same team is because that team can run all over them. And there are other teams in the NFL that can run all over them. One of them plays in their division, in the Philadelphia Eagles. The Cowboys have been saying, and I think that was lost, honestly, when we all talked about Mozzie Smith and everything. And I know I've mentioned it a few times here. The Cowboys talked a year ago about how they wanted to get tougher, how they wanted to kind of get some glass eaters. They drafted John Ridgeway, and obviously that didn't work out. But they wanted some, to be frank, some badass dudes in the middle of that defensive line, and they finally have that. I mean, again, tell me the name on the look at the left side of that column here. Like if you just look at the names there, DeMarcus Lawrence, Mozzie Smith, Osa Odigizua, Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, Jonathan Hankins, Neville Gallimore, Dorrance Armstrong. Holy crap. It is so worth being excited about. And then you factor in the contributions that likely will come from Junior Fehoko, from Quentin Bohanna, from Chauncey Golston, Dante Fowler. The rest is kind of a little bit more of a question mark and a little bit more of a hope, right? You practice squad guys, you store them on your roster, whatever, stash them. But every player on that left side of the column, and even then some, is capable of helping your defensive line week in and week out in the NFL. And I think that's why they're the strength. That's why this group is what has carried the Cowboys for the most part for the last 2 years. And that's why we've been saying if the offense can kind of carry their end of the bargain now, it's really exciting to consider what the potential is for this team in 2023. I mentioned it. We did the defensive line today. Next up, we have the linebacker. So that is going to be fun. Like I said, Micah Parsons will be a part of that conversation. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. On TikTok, rj.ochoa, or you can send me an email if you would like, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. For now, I bid you, you can also leave a comment down here. I forgot to say that, whatever. But for now, I bid you adieu. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you eat something delicious again. I hope you watch something awesome on television or a movie or whatever the case may be. And can't wait to see you for another one of these things. So thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you next time.